approaching day 200 of the trainee doctors walkout, and this has left the already frail emergency medical system grasping at its last straws. We've already heard of multiple stories of patients getting bounced from multiple emergency rooms to other emergency rooms. Yes, they are so severely short-staffed right now, these ERs. But this raises further concerns as Chuseok is fast approaching and people are getting increasingly more worried about what they might have to do if they do need emergency medical care during the holiday. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Friday, September 6th on BEFM, 부산 영어 방송. Good morning, Wavers. Welcome to our program, TGIF. So, yes, it's that day finally that we've been looking forward to all week long. And did you know that tomorrow actually marks day 200 of the trainee doctors having left the hospitals in protest of the government's expansion of the medical school quota, already 200 days. And during these 200 days, more and more hospitals have been cutting down their hours, even their emergency room operations. And these emergency rooms, ERs, are experiencing staff shortages to begin with as the number of applicants to essential medicine had been dwindling in the past few years. One Busan National University Hospital emergency medicine specialist resigned earlier this year, leaving this major hospital's ER operating with just 8 doctors. Busan Baek Hospital's ER specialist also resigned, leaving 6 doctors there. This is at least indirectly related to the trainee doctors' walkout, as the vacancy left and felt by the crucial interns and residents. This has left a huge gap for the existing staff to fill. And this has had some impact in tipping the already overworked specialists and professors. Basically, tipping those scales is just too much. But this leaves the patients at a loss, and ambulances, they're being redirected sometimes on multiple occasions as there are no beds available, or basically no doctors available to treat the patient. So that is the status, what we're looking at, what we've been experiencing for the past 200 days, the buildup of this. So that's our overall story. For now, though, we're going to get to our text topic. It's a fun one. It is all about pets. That's right. So tell us all about your pet's name or current, former, your childhood pet, your current pet, and feel free to send in photos. You're going to have to most likely send your photos in through KakaoTalk or, but anyhow, if you don't have a pet, what would you name your pet? What name would you give him or her or it, whatever you want to call it? 자, 여러분의 반려견, 반려묘, 식물까지 키우는 모든 것들의 이름, 이름을 알려주세요. We want to know about all the names, all the living species. Aside from, okay, leave out your kids, your non-kids, like human kids. But maybe your dog, cat, you do consider them as your child. 네, 사진도 보내주시면 감사하겠습니다. And you can send in your messages through, if you're just chatting, our BFM live stream, live chat on YouTube. Go to that YouTube channel that we have. Search for BEFM or 부산 영어 방송 to subscribe, log in, and chat away with our other waivers. You can use your phone to send in your message this way, pound 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can also reach me for free through KakaoTalk. And by the way, if you're sending in photos, this probably is the easiest way to send in your photos. Same thing, type in BEFM or 부산 영어 방송 to be able to send in your photos that way. You can listen to us on 90.5, 103.3 FM in the Busan area. Like I said, you can listen to us and watch us in real time. Right now, we're streaming on YouTube. You can, on that platform, watch us again later. We are also available on the Patbang app. It is Friday. Let's look at the lineup. We have Vasana with Foreign Press Highlights. We have Joffrey for FFT Fun Facts and Trivia. And later on for a special interview, we're going to tackle something really interesting. Sports. Athletes. You know, sometimes athletes have this reputation of being not so smart, right? So we are going to try to break down the dumb athlete stereotype. That's coming up in hour number 2. I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:05. These are today's headlines. Government's military doctor deployment plan sees problems on first day. The government yesterday began dispatching military doctors to some emergency rooms, but this plan saw glitches on the scene as some were sent back and others didn't show up. DP leader's wife questioned over alleged corporate card misuse. Democratic Party chair Lee Jae-myung's wife Kim Hae-kyung was questioned at the Suwon District Prosecutor's Office yesterday over alleged corporate credit card misuse during Lee's tenure as Gyeonggi governor. North Korea sends trash balloons for second day as South Korea holds drills on border island. North Korea floated trash-carrying balloons into South Korea for a second straight day yesterday in a provocation that Seoul condemned as senseless. Japan releases partial passenger list of deadly Fukushima ship sinking. Japan has provided South Korea with a part of the list of passengers in a controversial 1945 deadly explosion and sinking of a Japanese vessel known to have killed thousands of Koreans aboard. South Korea ties Palestine 0-0 in World Cup qualifier. Rocky start for coach Hong Myung-go. South Korea finished yesterday's World Cup qualifier in a goalless draw against Palestine as frustrated fans booed the new coach. And these are today's headlines. It's time to check in with Haley on this beautiful Friday morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's beautiful even when it's kind of
overcast.
for now, yes.
Yes,
And it's still beautiful. It's Friday, right?
That's true. It's your state of mind.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. All right. So, have you ever, had a pet? Do you have a pet right now?
No, I don't have a pet right now, and I have a black thumb, so even plants just they die before I can name them. But I had a pet fish in high school. It's sad. I try not to, but they just keep dying.
Yes.
I had a pet fish in high school that survived through college, actually, and I named him. He was a beta fish. I named him Mr. Darcy.
Oh, Mr. Darcy.
Yeah, and I kind of like the literary theme. Like, I know food is a big thing. Like,
Yes.
injarmi is a huge, like, if you have like a whitish off-white dog, they'll like name it injarmi. And then my friend has a pori.
pori. That's a common one, right?
Very common. And then, but I like the literary name. So if I ever get a pet, more of a dog person, but I think with my lifestyle, a cat might be better, but whatever. Hermione Granger. I'm gonna name. Yeah, I called it.
Granger.
I called it whatever pet
Harry
I
Potter.
get, whenever that is. I'm gonna name. Well, I guess it has to be a her, Hermione Granger. I guess.
you never know.
Well, it's an odd enough name that it could be a boy. Yeah, it's Hermione Granger.
Someone wants to know, isn't that too long? Calling your cat Hermione Granger?
But then like when your parents full name you,
Yes.
it's like Zion, and I'm like, what I do now?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, I did a lot of things, but it's like, what'd you catch? Like, what I get caught doing. So
Yes,
it's like,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
you need the full name impact because you need to be like Hermione Granger, get down from the fridge.
It's true, though, because when we get mad at cat number one, his name is Po Tai Lung. Po from Kung Fu Panda, black and white. Tai Lung is the evil character at the
Yeah.
end. He's a cat kind of character.
Right.
So his
Tiger?
name is
yeah.
Po Tai Lung and then Pang. So when he's in trouble,
Po Tai
Po
Lung
Tai
Bang.
Lung Bang is the name that gets
Oh my
called
God.
out. So
Oh my God.
I get you.
Yeah.
The full name.
No, there's like
impact.
a social media account
Yes.
where it's a guy just testing out baby names by like yelling them of like
Yes.
how nicely it sticks. Yeah. like Emily Dickinson. Oh, that's also a good name.
Oh, yeah, that is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we could go on naming our pets forever, but we
could.
do have to get into our Busan updates. The Busan Office Education is working on getting a new building, and I guess they finally have decided on a spot.
They have. So the new site of the Busan Office of Education will be Norimaru building in Jeonpo-dong.
Yes.
So that means the new education office will be at the smack middle of one of the most popular and populous downtown areas in Busan. So this office is going to establish their basic plans with construction to be completed by 2030. So we have a few years to go, and the office will move in by the following year, so by 2031. So the current building where the education office is located, it is actually over 30 years old, and there is a severe lack of space because the initial building was built when the Office of Education had about 300 employees. Now they have 580. But this, of course, still requires approval and convincing the city council to approve the plans.
Sure.
So the office said that this move will increase accessibility for people who visit the office for various reasons and also help with the local economy in the Jeonpo area.
Yes, yes. So finally, we have a spot now, right? A site. Actually, let's move right across the street from this site to Pujeon Library, which has been closed down for over 2 years due to structural safety issues.
Right, so that abrupt closure came 2 years ago when the building
Yes.
received a level E safety rating. So it basically failed the construction structure safety rating. So that caused an immediate shutdown 2 years ago. It's been closed. Well, fine. That's fine, safety first. But the problem is that the city and the Office of Education, they have not come up with plans on what to or how to proceed for the past 2 years until very recently. So it turns out the library has completed its safety reinforcement procedures just in the nick of time for the deadline.
Yes.
So Busan City secured 400 million won for the procedure out of its disaster funding. So that reinforcement construction will likely begin early next year to be completed in June of 2026.
Yes.
Also, I just have to add, as a library user, it was nice when we had the big library in the middle of a city, but, with the bus stop right in front of it.
Yes.
But we just haven't been able to go in for the past 2 years.
Right.
All right, so here's the criticism. Because there are two entities, Busan City and the Office of Education, that are duly responsible for that library, well, that delayed the process. There was a lot of red tape and communications to cut through, and thus negotiations were lengthened.
Sure.
So by law, a structure, a building, it's supposed to submit its plans for safety reinforcement or repairs within 2 years of having received that failing safety report. That 2-year mark, or the submission of that plan, came 8 days before the actual deadline.
Oh, goodness.
So they really kind of, procrastinated, or things were put off. So Busan City says now that it has the plans, it'll make sure that the development process goes according to plan to not inconvenience the people of Busan any further.
I see. Well, once it's up and running, I think people hopefully will be much happier, right? All right, next up, let's talk about pet shops in Busan. Kind of goes with our theme today. They've been closing down at a rapid pace, and that does raise concerns about the safety of animals, though.
Right. So unfortunately, this is not a very happy story, but hopefully we're going towards something better.
Okay.
So there's been a change in perception, not buying, but adopting
Sure.
in animals about pets. So therefore, the number of pet shops, as they're called in Korea, they have been closing down, and that figure has been on the rise. So according to Busan City's data, 82 such businesses closed down in the past 5 years. And in Yangjong-dong, this is actually where a large number of these pet shops are located. I actually drive through that part of town from
Yes.
here to my other job, and I've definitely seen a lot of for lease signs on those pet shop storefronts, and a lot of other like the pet beauty salon kind of grooming places that also kind of front as pet shops as well. Well, here's the thing. During the COVID pandemic, there was a trend, I suppose, of families adopting, or in some cases
Yes.
buying dogs and cats because they were spending a lot of time inside. However, with the pandemic over, people are spending a lot more time out of the homes. That figure has decreased. So we're not treating these as commodity, but we're looking at it from an economic perspective. So, unfortunately, with, fewer demand, closed stores are closing
Yes.
down. Also, this is good news. Number of adoptions via shelters that has increased
Yes.
to over 8,500 in the last 5 years from Busan Shelter. So that's kind of driven demand away from buying pets.
Yes, yes. But these business closures, they leave concerns for the dogs and cats that are kind of traded via these stores, though.
Right, because just looking at it strictly from the business side, it is stock, their life, but then
Yes.
that's stock. So what happens when a business closes?
Yes, what happens to the animals?
If it's just objects, you can sell it or you can trade it somewhere, but this is life.
Yes.
So animal rights, and this is disturbing, by the way, warning, animal rights activists have locally found bodies of 5 dead puppies and multiple syringes inside a large trash bag in that Yangjong area and reported it to the district office. So it turns out that the dogs died from the same viral infection, and the groups suspect neglect and negligence leading to this. So the pet shop that discarded the bodies of these dogs, it's said to be preparing to close down. So the same animal group has then thankfully transferred ownership of the 25 puppies that are left in that same pet shop. The group called for close management and supervision for animal protection as business dwindles.
Right. I mean, I understand, like, if you have to close shop, but then let's be responsible to make sure that these animals are placed somewhere,
absolutely.
right? All right. Lastly, we're going to talk about the state of Busan's tourism.
Right, so this is good news as fall travel season and holiday season's coming up. The number of foreign nationals that have visited Busan has spiked, and that may hit 3 million for the first time ever for this year. So Busan City said that the number of foreign visitors for the first half of this year came to 1.38 million.
Yes.
That exceeds the pre-COVID figures for the same time period, doubling the figures from the same time last year. And the biggest group was interestingly from Taiwan. So they've definitely kind of climbed that ranking,
Yes.
followed by Japan, China, and the US. We're also seeing large increases in visitors from Vietnam, Hong Kong, Thailand, Indonesia, and Singapore. So what does that say? The travel base to Busan has been widened.
I think that's so good, though.
It's so great, right?
Yeah,
so
not all your
definitely
eggs in one
variety,
basket.
exactly. So they also, and tourism revenue, key here, they collectively spent 288 billion won in Busan for the first 6 months of the year.
Yes.
So this increase points to, number one, the rise in Busan's global status and branding. Also, Busan City's efforts to bring in different programs like the Gourmet City Initiative and workation. So it's not just huge group tours, it's people who have different needs and wants. And then on top of this, we have October coming up. That's Busan International Film Festival, Busan Fireworks Festival, and much, much more. So there's a lot of attention and interest as to whether we will be able to set a new tourism record this year.
Yes, yes. Well, thanks for going over all the updates. We'll check in with you with the news in just a little bit, Haley.
Thank you.
Back to you, the waivers. We're talking about pets today. So whether you had a pet growing up or maybe you have one or many right now, we want to know all about them. You can send in your photos. And by the way, I'm already getting some photos on the Kakao Talk channel board, which I'll share with you in a little bit, at least try to describe some of them. And we want to know about their names. If you don't have a pet, what would you name them? And so, I don't know, have you guys tried posting photos on YouTube? I don't know if that works or not. So maybe somebody at least can try. I guess, yeah, you can't. So you're going to have to send them through Kakao Talk, through our channel. And by the way, my favorite pets names, the ones that I can remember thus far, Pepsi, Sandy, Alexandra, but my parents, 너무 길어. 그래서 we shortened it to Lexi. She was a 진돗개. And then right now, we have Po Tai Lung, Diego, Callie, and Olaf. Those are the 4 cats. And then I can't leave out my rabbit, Jackson, my favorite. Anyhow, enough about my pets. Let's get to your traffic and weather. It is time for your traffic report. It's now 7:19 on this Friday morning. It's looking slow on the Dongso overpass from Hwangryong ramp to the old Kaegum toll gate. Backed up on Nakdong Namno from Hadan intersection to the Haguwon bridge also. There's congestion detected on Luno Samsungdaero from the Myeongji underpass to Shinho bridge. As for the weather, it's 25 degrees Celsius right now under fairly clear skies. Wisps of cloud, at least here in the Centum area. Daytime high will go up to 32. However, there are are chances of showers in the afternoon into the evening. Looking at the weather for this weekend, yes, if you're in the Busan area, you can make your outdoor plans for Saturday. Tomorrow is going to be a clear day with a low of 25, a high of 32. Sunday, it's going to be pretty similar. However, showers are forecast throughout the day. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
All right, it's time for News Digest. And by the way, a little disclaimer and a question to our waivers, because we're getting in those photos through our KakaoTalk channel. So I do want to get permission from you, the waivers. Is it okay to post photos of your pets on our YouTube channel? And if you don't want, if the answer is no, send us a no. Don't post. But if you remain silent, we're going to assume that it's okay. Is that okay? All right, here we go. First bit of news. The government earlier this week announced its pension reform plans. So we're going to have to kind of literally digest this and talk about how this affects the people's pension payments like right now.
All right, so 3 major changes, and I'm going to give you the numbers. Change number 1, from 9 to 13. Change number 2, from 40 to 42, and change the third from 59 to 64.
Yes.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
so we're going to have to walk.
Right, so what is
What
that?
are we talking about, Haley?
All right, number 1, 9 to 13. This is the percentage of your income that you will have to pay into the pension fund.
Okay.
So ever since 1998, the pension subscription rate, which is how much you pay into the pension, has been set at 9% of your income. So if you are an employee of a company, your employer will pay for half of it. For regional subscribers, so we're talking about freelancers, self-employed individuals, and business owners, you foot the entire bill. So now that percentage will go up to 13% of your entire income.
Yes.
So I'm going to give you the numbers. So let's say you're an average person in South Korea in terms of your income level. That means you make 2.8 million won per month. So your 월급 is, or your 소득 is 280만 원. That's the national average. Then your pension rate is currently 257,000 won, a little over 25만 원. But under the new plans, because it's 13% now, that'll go up to 37만 원, 371,000 won.
Okay.
Am I getting an ulcer looking at this number? Yes, I'm a regional subscriber.
Yes.
So if your company foots half the bill, you pay 57,000 won extra. If you're a regional subscriber and you foot the entire pension, that is 114,000 won extra per month. That'll be going out of your
see.
pocket.
But this is going to be implemented right away, like right now?
No, so it doesn't mean that next month, well, okay, it has to pass through Parliament, but it doesn't mean that the following month your pension bill is going to be, over 10만 won higher. This is where that kind of controversial age differential issue comes in.
Yes.
So for people who are in their 50s right now, the pension payment will increase by 1% each year for 4 years.
Yes.
So that means you'll pay 9% this year, 10% next year, 11% the year after, so on and so forth. For people who are slightly younger, in their 40s, that figure will go up by half a percentage point. So they'll reach that 13% threshold in 8 years. If you're in your 30s, 0.3%.
Yes.
In your 20s by 0.25% every year. So increasing at a slower rate. So this will be the point of contention as the proposal passes the parliamentary level. But the Health Ministry survey shows that even 60% of those who are in their middle ages to the elderly,
Sure.
they agree with this proposal.
I see. Okay, so once again, 9 to 13. payment in the pension. But what about the next change, the 42, the whole 42?
Right. So 9 to 13 was how much you pay into the
it,
pension.
right?
Now I want to know how much am I going to get out of it once I reach 65.
Okay.
So that is 40 to 42%. So this is what's called the income replacement rate, which is basically how much of the pension when you get it will replace the income that you got pre-retirement. So that rate was back in the day, the good old days, that was 70% way back when the pension system was made. So people who got the pension pretty much, had almost the entirety of their income compensated via the pension. But of course, because of the treasury or the pension treasury running low, that's dropped to 50% in 2008. And that does go down by law every single year. But the government plan is to freeze that rate at this year's 42%. So it's actually supposed to go down to 40% in the future, but they're going to freeze it. So you will get 42% of your current income replaced once you reach 65.
Okay, so that makes sense now. Another possible reform measure is the age at which you stop paying into the fund, though.
Right. Not when you get the fund, that's 65, but when you stop paying into it, that's
Right.
the last set of numbers from 59 to 64. So right now, you pay into the pension until your 60th birthday. So you pay into it through your age of 59.
Okay.
But the government's considering raising that subscription age to 64. And this is in consideration as many seniors, they do work until that age.
Yes.
However, experts do agree that this is going in the generally in the right direction because of aging. People do live longer and work longer. However, that will have to be backed up by other labor reforms like then extending the retirement age so people would actually be able to work until they're 64.
Yes.
Because I know the official retirement age is 65, but we all know someone who has kind of had to retire, was pushed out way before that.
Yes. Indeed. So that is what's going on with all the pension reforms, the plans. So thanks for breaking down all the numbers. We do appreciate it. Okay, let's move on to the economy. There is a term called the September effect in the stock market, referring to a weak market this month. So how true is the effect?
Right. Well, Ellie, I mean, we finished week 1 of September.
Yes.
Has not been a good investment month. I know a couple people who have deleted the app. There are various apps are like, I'm just not going to look at it because
I see.
it's doing nothing good. So September is often considered the toughest month for stock markets. Historically, September earned this reputation for its weak stock market performance, and it goes back to the Great Depression days. But this is a phenomenon that's known as the September effect. Because statistics, September is the only calendar month to average a negative return over the past pretty much century. So that not only affects the U.S. stock market, S&P especially does worse, but also the global stock market, including the Kospi and the Kosdaq.
Ah, yes. And so why September, though? Why?
Right. So what's wrong with September?
Yes, what's wrong
the
with
weather's so
Kosdaq?
nice.
Yes.
Well, that's kind of one of the reasons. So there are, of course, theories. If we
Okay.
knew the exact reason, then we'd get rid of the September effect.
Sure.
But one suggests that investors, they're returning from a summer vacation. So they kind of reassess their portfolios. And then that leads to sales of underperforming stocks.
Yes.
Maybe they're trying to liquidate because they spent too much money on their vacations, or, they've come to a change of mind. Also, politics, they always affect the stock market. That usually marks the beginning of the U.S. election cycle, which, of course, this year, very important.
Yes.
So that prompts investors to kind of reposition their portfolios because they're trying to wager different bets on who's going to win, Harris or Trump or any other candidate before.
Yes.
And this is why this year is particularly relevant. And because the U.S. elections are just around the corner or even starting in 12 hours.
Right.
Also, the new school year mentality, because, it probably wouldn't affect high schoolers or many college students, but their parents are certainly affected because tuition costs an arm and a leg.
Yes.
So they will need to liquidate some of their assets to pay for their kids' tuition and back to school expenses.
Sure.
And then another theory posits that large mutual funds engage in what's called window dressing because they're coming to their fiscal year end. So they're trying to kind of liquidate their assets and make their books look better.
Nice, yeah.
Right. So experts do warn that this doesn't necessarily mean that you should dump your stocks. And I'm just citing expert opinion. Of course, never ever take your financial investment advice from non-experts, which would be me. But they say historically, presidential elections have not made September overall worse for stocks, and markets respond daily to viewpoints on the health of the economy and investor expectations. So don't wager your bets on historical patterns.
Yes.
But also don't panic and just dump your stocks all at once because historically things do go up. It's cyclical.
That's why it's first for me. It's just like it's so stressful.
It's so stressful.
It is stressful. So
yeah, because
for
this
people
is real
who do
money,
it,
right?
I mean, kudos to you.
That's why you guys make a lot of money,
and I don't.
Yeah, that's why I depend on my income.
All right,
Yeah.
We're gonna move on to finally the U.S. presidential election, which yes, we know November 6th is election day, right? It's coming up soon.
But not just November 6th,
Yes.
but September 6th,
Oh,
which
what
is,
happens
well, today
September
Korea
6th?
time, but then tomorrow U.S. time, early voting, mail-in voting begins in North Carolina. So
right.
election is starting tomorrow,
Okay.
today/tomorrow. And then subsequently, early voting will begin in the battleground state of Pennsylvania, September
Yes.
16th, and then Michigan, September 26th. Both states are considered key swing states. So early voting has, so in Korea, we think of voting as long lines at your local school or community center, in-person voting. But in the United States, early voting has become a lot more common,
Yes.
especially during the pandemic years. Also, the U.S. just being geographically huge.
Right.
It is harder if you don't have a car to go to a physical polling station. So about 20% of voters cast their ballots early in 2020 and 2022. And by early, we mean mail-in voting in the U.S., which does not exist in Korea.
Yes.
So this also may send the vote counting a days-long process. Back in 2020, it took over a week for the local election officials to call the results in some states.
Ah, yes, but there are other major events in store that may affect or sway the voters.
Right. So because, September 6th, September 16th, early voting begins in key swing states, but then in the smack middle of it, September 10th, the first and even maybe only presidential debate between Harris and Trump. And one of the biggest swing states, once again, Pennsylvania, it begins voting the week after this debate.
Yes.
And then looking ahead to another calendar date, September 18th, it's the sentencing verdict for former President Donald Trump, who was found guilty of the hush money trial. So that could also impact voters as well. So given this trend, this tendency for U.S. voters to vote early, all of this could very well affect the results, especially in battleground states, even before we hit November.
Ah, yes. So it's going to be lively, we'll just say. We're going to cover everything, of course, for you, waivers, and we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you.
See you in a bit.
All right. So, all the messages that are coming in now with the photos, we're getting them ready. And real quick, of course, we're looking for photos, names, pets, anything that you want to send in. And I assume that we have your permission to post once again on our YouTube channel. All right, let's get to our first song. This is Dusk Till Dawn. This is by Zayn featuring Sia.
Not tryna be in there, not tryna be cool, just tryna be in this. Tell me how you do. Can you feel where the wind is? Can you feel it through all of the windows inside this room? Cause I wanna touch you, baby, and I wanna feel you too. I wanna see the sunrise and your sins, just me and you. Light it up on the run. Let's make love tonight. Make it up, fall in love twice. But you never feel love. I've been with you from dusk till dawn. I've been with you from dusk till dawn. like a jacket, so do yours. We would roll down the rapids to find a wave that fits. Can you feel where the wind is? Can you feel it through all of the windows inside this room? 'Cause I wanna touch you, baby. I wanna feel you too. I wanna see the sunrise and your sins, just me and you. Light it up on the run. Let's make love tonight. Make it up for love. Try. But you'll never be alone. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. Baby, I'm right here. I'll hold you when things go wrong. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. Baby, I'm right here. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. Baby, I'm right here. Go give love to your body. It's only you that can stop it. Go give love to your body. It's only you that can stop it. Go give love to your body. It's only you that can stop it. Go give love to your body. Go give love to your body. But you'll never be alone. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. Baby, I'm right here. I'll hold you when things go wrong. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. Baby, I'm right here. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. Baby, I'm right here. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. Baby, I'm
Welcome back, everybody. That was a good song, right? Was it not? And our top story today, we're talking about the state of emergency rooms, ERs, as the trainee doctors walkout approaches day 200. That's tomorrow. We're going to take a look at the state of Busan's ERs. The National Medical Center's Central ER Center. That shows that in the 29 emergency rooms here in Busan, general beds are at about 73% capacity. Pediatrics ERs are much more full, from anywhere between 95 to 100% capacity. And looking at the situation nationwide, more and more ERs are sending messages to the central medical authorities that they are limiting or cutting back on their ER hours and treatment. Civic groups, therefore, have expressed concerns about the Chuseok holiday that's coming up. And once again, you can call 1192 to inquire about any ER room availabilities if you do have an emergency. So, yes, if you have to, you got to dial that number, 119. Now, it's time for your pets. Oh, so happy today. I love days like this where we talk about animals, about, your pets, names, and why did you name? 이름을 이렇게 왜 지었는지도 참 궁금해요. Like, for example, we're going to start posting up some photos. By the way, if you don't have a pet, let's pretend you do have one. Let's say you want to get a pet. What kind of pet would you want? What would you name your pet? 자, 여러분의 반려견, 반려묘, 식물까지 키우는 모든 것의 이름을 지금 공개하고 있고요. 그다음에 사진도 보내주시면 we're going to post them on our YouTube channel. And by the way, the most common pet names for dogs and cats in Korea, 제일 많이 쓰이는 이름이 코코 그리고 보리. That's for both dogs and cats. And then for dogs, it's so hard to say, 반려견. For dogs, most popular names, 초코, 콩이, 사랑이, 별이, 까미. For cat, it's Momo, Kami, Haru, Mimi, Mochi, and Nabi. So those are kind of the cute, most popular names. So can we post some of the photos, PD님? Here we go. Guess who these beautiful dogs belong to? They belong to Drift Monkey. So the first photo is Poppy, who is 12 years old. And then second in the middle, that's Lola, who's 2. And then the third is lovely Olive. So Poppy's a German Pointer and Schnauzer mix. Lola is a miniature Schnauzer, and Olive is a standard Schnauzer. So proud are we, DM Drift Monkey. Yes. And do we have another photo that we can post right now? 피디님, 지금 하나 더 올라갑니까? Okay, she's putting another photo up there. So our next photo, this is Taejin Wavers. 주말이. Can we is it weekend or the weekend? I want to call it the weekend, but anyway, it's a lizard. So cute. I love the color though. It's beautiful. This beautiful like golden yellow. And then I believe we have one more photo we're going to post for now. And this is from JB Waver. And I love his message that came along with it though. So the first photo we're going to look at is of, do you see the left photo on the left of your screen? You see a cat, 행복이, 냥이. And then we have Hana, aka he calls her Hyundaeji, not my words, his words. And then I looked at the photo on the right and I was like, oh, look at those 2 cute dogs. And I realized Hyundaeji 그 하나 씨가 뒤에 있어요. 앞에 있는 거는 it's a doll. It's a stuffed animal. So thank you for your photos. And I will definitely, we're going to post more of your photos later on. First, we got to get to your hot clip. For today's hot clip, this is a tragedy. The family of a Ugandan athlete. Well, they're mourning the death of this marathoner. She died after allegedly being set on fire by her former boyfriend. And by the way, she just competed in the Paris Olympics. So this is a clip from ABC News.
And police in Kenya are investigating after an Olympian died 4 days after allegedly being set on fire by her former partner. Police say Ugandan long-distance runner Rebecca Cheptegei was doused with a can of gasoline before being set on fire during an argument over land. Her death comes just weeks after she finished 44th in the women's marathon at the Paris Olympics. What's the latest?
This is just truly horrific, and as you can imagine, tributes are pouring in from the sports world. The authorities in northwestern Kenya, where Cheptegei used to live, said that she was attacked on Sunday by her former partner. She was coming back from church with her 2 children. He reportedly doused her in gasoline. She was set on fire, sustaining burns to almost 80% of her body. She was receiving treatment in hospital, but sadly, 4 days after she was targeted, she died. And according to the police, Cheptegei and her partner were having a dispute over a piece of land she just built a house on, but a more thorough investigation is now underway. Now, the 33-year-old recently ran in the Paris Olympics, as you said, finishing in 44th place, a world marathon champion too, a renowned athlete. And today, she's being remembered for her generosity. A fellow Ugandan athlete, James Kerwer, talked about how she helped other athletes financially, saying that she gave him training shoes when she came back from the Olympics. Sadly, Diane, this tragic incident is the latest in a string of attacks on female athletes in Kenya. There have been at least 2 other high-profile female runners in cases of domestic violence.
And so, as you heard in that clip, can you believe this? She's a mom of 2, and she was set on fire literally with gasoline. And so they're looking at her former boyfriend as a culprit for this terrible, terrible tragedy. And this was your hot clip for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time for Vasan. Oh, new haircut.
Yes, new
For
haircut.
Foreign Press Highlights.
Yes.
Oh, kind of like a rocker, punk rock feel.
This is my son's hairstyle he's had since he had hair. I was going to say since he was born, but no.
I was like, he was born with that? Really?
Since he had hair. So this weekend...
You guys are twinning?
Sorry?
Twinning?
Almost, because he's my height now. 11
how
years
old.
old.
Is he? 11? And how
he's-
tall are you?
I'm shorter than what I used to be. I'm 177.
Oh, he's tall.
No, very tall.
Yes, he's gonna grow,
He's going to be
grow.
NBA tall. So I
I don't know
assume
about that.
I assume a few.
I don't know about
People are
that.
gonna
We
ask
thought
about
we thought Zach was going to grow really tall. He
Yeah.
was 180 in 6th grade.
Yeah.
600 180인데 he stopped at like 188. So not NBA tall, just maybe KBL.
188 is NBA tall.
No, it's not.
Yes,
it's
it
like
is.
KBL tall, not NBA tall.
Hey, Spud Webb was only 5'8". My goodness.
That's true. All right, what are we talking about today?
You're not going to ask me about pets?
No, because you told me last time I remember that you never had a pet.
No, I never had it.
But if you had a pet, what would you name your pet? That we're asking for people who don't have pets.
Oh, I was asked this question last week by some
Yes.
students in class.
Yes.
I said Corgi.
Corgi?
Corgi.
You don't mean that.
Well, in Samoa, all the pets are animals that you usually raise. And so one of the pets you kind of have a close relationship with, and that's the last
And then they
one to go.
disappear?
Yeah.
Oh, you're terrible. Okay, let's get into
Yeah, let's get into this one.
yes, Foreign Press Highlights. What do you have?
Okay, city versus country.
Hmm.
But it's not as boring as that in regard to the article. The
Yes.
article is a very good one written by CNA, not CAN, CNA. And the headline is Seoul sucking all the good from South Korea? So
I was gonna say, let's be careful. that was the title of yes.
that was the headline.
Mm-hmm.
And then a little subheadline, here is why rural areas are emptying out. So this is a very long article. We won't be able to talk about everything in the article today, I don't think.
Yes.
We've only got, 9 minutes because of all the pets.
Yes.
So
Hurry up.
maybe even less.
Yes.
We got to get back to the pets. It also has a video which is about an hour long. So please go and watch this. It's very, very in-depth.
Right.
It has a lot of statistics in it. It is based on facts. It is not an article that is an opinion. So please check it out.
Yes.
So the first point that they made is that no one wants to work in the country, which is, I think, something in every country has.
Okay.
From America to New Zealand. So that is why we have migrant workers. So they're coming here on either a migrant visa or an E9 visa, not a migrant visa, a seasonal working visa.
Sure.
Because usually in the summertime, you got lots of things, fruits and veggies to pick.
Yes.
The problem with that is that Korea is a very homogenous country still.
It is.
And so the problem with the opinions about foreigners still remain. And also the brokers who bring them over, whether they're foreign brokers or Korean brokers, they don't treat them very nicely.
No, they don't.
So that's the same in every country. So it is increasing, though. In 2022, 69,000 visas for those people coming over for migrant work. 2023, 120,000 visas, so almost doubled. And to date, 165,000 visas. So it's almost doubling every year. So next year, probably 250,000 people will be coming over.
Yes.
Second thing, families are moving to the cities for their children's education.
True.
So that means some countryside places have never heard the cry of a baby. And they made this point a couple of times. And when I heard
Right.
that, it's kind of, my heart went, oh my goodness.
But it's true.
Yes.
I mean, dwindling
Yes.
quickly.
So that's
the
why
population.
That's why now I understand when some older people, when I had a baby,
Yes.
some older people, they heard my son cry or shout or whatever, they smiled, and now I understand.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
old people love the sound of young babies. Parents probably not so much.
But older people.
But older people.
Because you know why?
Yeah.
They're not their kids.
That's
That's
it.
why. 남의 애들이잖아요. 그러니까 예쁜 거예요. Yes.
They don't have to stay within 24 hours. But yes, so last year, 193 schools closed in South Korea. And 90% were in the countryside.
Yes.
So this means whole schools are disappearing, and even they talked about the extinction of the countryside. So some villages might disappear totally. Farming might be an area for young people to look at because it might it might bring them some money in the future. Infrastructure, obviously, because the hospitals are all in the city. So if an old person needs some attention, it's a 2-hour bus ride away. Or if they can drive an hour and a half or an hour away. Another term that I enjoyed was soul searching.
Soul searching.
Soul searching.
Oh, play on words.
Yeah. So these are from people who live in other cities, not just the countryside, but other cities in Korea. And they go to Seoul in search of work. And they had one teacher, he was teaching in an elementary school. He changed his job to IT.
Oh.
And so he left his wife and his family in Gwangju and moved to Seoul to find a job. He found a job, but now he's only living in a Goshitel. But his family is still living in Gwangju.
Yes.
And his wife's looking for a job in Seoul as well. So once she does that, they'll be linked together again. Linked.
Linked.
Sounds like a slave.
Oh, no. We don't want that, but
Yeah. Do you have any more time?
Yeah, we have a couple minutes.
I got around about 30 more things to talk about.
No. Couple more minutes, I said.
A couple more.
Yes.
Okay. It is not only Seoul, however, that is posing a demographic problem, but also the areas around Seoul. So Seoul, I believe, this is what I said to friends whenever we have a talk, is that Seoul is going to devour the surrounding areas, so Gyeonggi-do and Incheon as well.
Sure.
So in the future, I think it's going to be a super city. Incheon, Gyeonggi will all be Seoul, which means that the population of Seoul will be probably around about 35 to 40 million, which is 80% of the country. So at the moment, I think it's 30% of the country, Seoul.
Yes.
So that's why they built Sejong City, but it's still not quite working. It's due to finish, all the construction, everything will due to finish in 2030, which is not far away.
Right.
And then they're hoping people will flock to Sejong City.
That's what they're hoping for.
That's what they're hoping. They're hoping that all the big companies, the chaebol companies will set up head offices in Sejong. And then take some of the burden off Seoul and the surrounding areas.
Yes.
One more thing.
Yes.
Squeeze
it in.
Squeeze it in. The rural. It didn't take much for Korea to come to what it is today. That's the big problem there. It only took about 20 years for Korea to get to what it is now. From the 1960s to the Olympic Games, basically, was when it kind of took off there, and it's still taking off now.
Sure.
So because it took such a small amount of time to become urbanized,
Yes.
it's probably going to take a small amount of time to go the other way as well. So Korea will need to get some help from some smart people
Yes.
to hopefully get help with this problem.
Indeed. Well, we're going to have to call it a wrap because we're out of time. But I also hear that this might be your final week, at least for this segment, for this time.
Yes, I can sleep in.
No.
I can watch
We're
you
going to
from
drag
my
you
phone
out
in my
of
bed.
bed somehow.
Put some comments on there.
Well, thank you so much for your weeks of service.
Thank you.
And you know what? We're going to see you soon. So
yeah?
It's okay. Thank you, Masana.
Thank you very much.
All right. For you wavers out there who are joining us right now, we are talking about your pets, past, current ones. And think about this. Your pets are making their debut. 지금 너튜브 채널, 우리 BFM 너튜브 채널에서 지금 데뷔를 하고 있잖아요. They're debuting when you think about it. The whole world will have access to see your beautiful fur babies, or maybe not the furry ones, also lizards too. So enjoy this song, Boston Beans by Peggy Lee, and we'll be back at 8.
I took a trip to Boston. I was feeling in the mood for a plate of that wonderful, famous food. had a big shop, just about as big as a whole city block. They have no beans in Boston, plenty of fish, Chinese food if that's your dish. Steaks and chops are a beautiful fare. I couldn't find any Boston beans there. When Captain John Smith came in 1614, he was the first diplomat that the Indians had seen. If they had Boston beans, then I really wouldn't know. You gotta admit, that was a long time ago. No beans in Boston, plenty of fish, Chinese food if that's your dish. Steaks and chops are a beautiful fare. I couldn't find any Boston beans there. And when Paul Revere rode his horse that night and lit those lanterns before the big fight, he must have been hungry when he got back. Boston beans would have been a beautiful snack. They have some tea leaves left from that well-known party. Great museums if you're feeling arty. They have Cambridge and Harvard and MIT. They didn't have any beans for me. No beans in Boston, plenty of fish, Chinese food if that's your dish.
Your Bridge to the World. BEFM 부산 영어 방송.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 BFM 부산 영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
Hola, I am Rafael Salardi, a Peruvian living in Busan for 20 years now. After living in Peru, I fell in love with Korean culture, so I decided to move to Busan. I like feeling the warm sunrise at the beaches in Busan on sunny days. A cup of coffee while looking at the sea in the coffee city Busan reminds me of the Andes Mountains, a famous coffee producer in Peru. The reason why I like Busan more than anything else is the people. Even though I was not good at Korean, everyone treated me with kindness and friendliness. I really appreciate those who are so nice to me. I want to live happily ever after in Busan for a long, long time. Gracias, Busan. Global City Busan, we are all in it together. This campaign was brought to you by BEFM 부산 영어 방송.
지금 방송 광고라는 부메랑을 던져보세요. 소비자를 향해 정확히 날아가는 광고, 힘차게 돌아가는 경제, 부메랑처럼 다시 기업의 이익으로 되돌아오니까요. 방송 광고, 경제에 큰 힘이 됩니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock. This is News Highlights. Government's military doctor deployment plan sees problems on first day. The government yesterday began dispatching military doctors to some emergency rooms, but this plan saw glitches on the scene. The Ewha Women's University, Mokdong Hospital, and Chungnam National University, Sejong Hospital, decided that the medics were unfit to work at their respective ERs. 4 out of 5 military doctors dispatched to Gangwon National University Hospital did not show up for work. The health ministry said that it will hold discussions with the defense ministry and the hospitals to resolve this issue. DP leader's wife questioned over alleged corporate card misuse. Democratic Party Chair Lee Jae-myung's wife, Kim Hae-kyung, was questioned at the Suwon District Prosecutor's Office yesterday over alleged corporate credit card misuse during Lee's tenure as Gyeonggi governor. The questioning yesterday ended after 2 hours after Kim exercised her right to remain silent. Her lawyer later criticized the investigation as having a predetermined conclusion. Lee Jae-myung has yet to respond to the prosecution's request to appear for questioning, which came in July. North Korea sends trash balloons for second day as South Korea holds drills on border island. North Korea floated trash-carrying balloons into South Korea for a second straight day yesterday in a provocation that Seoul condemned as senseless. Trash bundles that have been retrieved so far largely contained scrap paper and plastic bottles, the Joint Chiefs of Staff said. No hazardous substances have been found. On the same day, the Marine Corps conducted firing drills on Yeonpyeong-do and Pyeongnyang-do islands on the western maritime border for about an hour. Japan releases partial passenger list of deadly Fukushima ships sinking. Japan has provided South Korea with part of the list of passengers in a controversial 1945 deadly explosion and a sinking of a Japanese vessel known to have killed thousands of Koreans aboard, Seoul officials said yesterday. The ship was transporting many forcibly mobilized Korean laborers when it sank in waters off the Aomori prefecture in August 1945. The official death toll stands at 524, but with the victims' families claiming the death toll to be closer to 3,000. The release came a day before Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's visit to Seoul. South Korea has been requesting Japan to provide relevant materials related to the explosion after Japan had insisted for years that the passenger list did not exist. South Korea ties Palestine 0-0 in World Cup qualifier with a rocky start for coach Hong Myung-bo. South Korea finished yesterday's World Cup qualifier in a goalless draw against Palestine as frustrated fans booed the new coach. 23rd ranked South Korea had several opportunities against number 96 Palestine in Group B match for the Asian qualifiers for the 2026 FIFA World Cup and the team's first under the leadership of head coach Hong Myung-bo. Boos rained down on Hong during the pre-match introduction and also throughout the match whenever he was shown on the scoreboards at the stadium. Korea will play away in Oman on Tuesday. And this was News Highlights. It is now time for Waggle Waggle. Haley's back.
Hello. Let's just look at your pets.
Because it's been a woggly morning.
It's been such a woggly morning.
I am paying attention to all the segments. However, I've been so busy checking out all the
We're
photos.
also so distracted.
I know, because they're coming on a Kakao Talk
I
channel.
don't think I'm going to talk about anything important today. Let's just talk about your pets.
Can we? Can we?
Yeah.
They're making their debut.
What are their favorite foods?
Yes.
What do they respond to?
And
who's
some
their
of the
favorite
pets
person?
Are beautiful.
They're all
are.
beautiful.
But especially I'll show you some birds in a little bit. Oh. Beautiful. All right. It's time to talk about Chuseok. It's coming up real soon. People are starting to buy holiday gifts, which is a Korean tradition, of course. But a group of lawmakers are on a campaign of refusing gifts from the president.
They are. So it is customary, happens every year or twice a year for the president and the first lady, so the first couple, to give gifts to lawmakers, persons of national merit, civic leaders, and others of their choosing. So this year, the first couple chose traditional liquor, condiments like gochujang, but made with apples, like local apples, pear jam, onion jam, cosmetics also made from natural ingredients from throughout Korea. So it seems that the presidential office sent out their gifts earlier this week.
Yes.
But there's been a campaign on social media of opposition party lawmakers refusing these gifts, and it's been very public. So for one, and they of course come with messages, very lengthy messages on why they're refusing this.
Okay.
Democratic Party lawmaker Lee Sung-yoon said, "Why do you send these unwanted gifts? Quote, like a stalker." Speaking of stalker, stop your referring to the president and the administration, stalker-like investigation against the former president. And then from the Korea Reform Party, lawmaker Kim Jun-young said he's also returning the gift. He added that the president is unilaterally doing everything from diplomacy, minister appointments, and skipping the National Assembly opening ceremony. And also saying that in the time that you spend sending these gifts actually take that time to take care of the people's livelihoods. So very pointed messages. And the lawmakers from the opposition parties, this isn't their first time because back in May when the National Assembly sessions began, the president sent the customary plants, the orchids, to lawmakers, and they very much also threw them out or returned them.
Indeed. So that's what's going on that front. The next set of stories read like something out of a movie, kind of under a common theme. So we're going to call them improper links to China.
Espionage.
Yes.
Potential spies, alleged spies. So a former aide to New York Governor Kathy Hochul has been indicted for allegedly being a Chinese spy. And this follows a series of other similar stories coming out of the U.S., including a Korean national who has been deemed a person of, an interest of another country. So this particular individual is Linda Sun. She's the former deputy chief of staff to the governor of New York State.
Yes.
But according to the indictment written by federal prosecutors, she allegedly used her position to aid Chinese officials. How? Including by blocking Taiwanese diplomats from gaining access to the state government and even allegedly sharing internal New York State documents to Beijing.
Right.
So she and her husband, both indicted, pled not guilty on Tuesday local time. She is facing charges of failing to register as a foreign agent, to visa fraud and money laundering.
Yes.
So some of the details, this is very serious. It reads something out of a spy novel. During the pandemic, when the entire state state of New York was under heavy lockdown, Sun allegedly helped Chinese consular officials gain access to New York state leaders, including even adding a Chinese official to a private state government call about a public health response to the virus.
Okay.
And then there are also occasions in which she worked to prevent Taiwanese representatives from either communicating with or even meeting with high-ranking officials in the U.S. government. And when the Taiwanese president traveled to New York City in 2019, she was even pictured joining a pro-Beijing protest against a visit.
Oh,
right.
Yes. So what does she get in return for these activities, allegedly?
Right. So according to the indictment, China allegedly showered Sun and her husband, Christopher Hu, with millions of dollars in kickbacks.
Yes.
And they used that money to buy a $4 million home in New York and perks including this is interesting. Special home deliveries of a regional delicacy of salted duck.
Salted duck.
Like duck meat. But then considering how expensive Beijing
Yes,
duck is.
yes.
Okay. And then they also bought a $2 million ocean view home in Hawaii and a Ferrari. So yeah, very, very,
Living large.
Living large, exactly.
Yes,
so
yes.
that is the story that's going on.
And then the next story in Indonesia, a former Philippines mayor has been arrested for her alleged ties with Chinese organized crime.
Right. So not to officially to Beijing, the government,
Right.
but to organized crime. So now we're talking about this woman, Alice Guo. She is a former mayor in a small town in the Philippines, accused of having links to Chinese criminal syndicates. She has been arrested in Indonesia.
Yes.
So the Ministry of Justice said Guo, she also has Chinese nationality. She's wanted by the Philippine Senate for refusing to attend a congressional investigation
Yes.
into her alleged crime ties. So what kind of crime ties? Multiple accounts of money laundering, of having colluded with others to launder more than 100 million pesos, which is roughly $1.8 million. So quite a large amount in proceeds from criminal activities. She was actually removed from office.
Yes.
And then she fled the country 2 months ago and has been on the run, I believe, including Malaysia, Singapore, now to Indonesia, where she has been caught.
So that's what's going on. But
What a life.
I know. And then now in a story that's still under the theme of espionage accusations, but this is not with,
Humans. Homo sapiens.
beluga whale.
And this
What?
also has a sad story because
Oh,
the whale
no.
died. I know. But so prepare your
Okay.
hearts. But there was this beluga whale in Norway.
Norway?
Such an odd story. That was
Yes.
accused of being a Russian spy.
Oh, okay. A whale in Norway accused of being a Russian spy.
Right.
Okay.
So this whale was nicknamed Hvaldimir. Hvaldimir, because the whale in Norwegian is Hval, Hval, and Vladimir.
Oh, so
Yeah,
Vladimir.
Vladimir. Thank
Oh
you,
my gosh.
Vladimir.
Vla-
Yeah,
That's a
Vladimir.
mouthful.
I do
Okay.
not speak Norwegian. So why?
Yes, why?
So the whale first appeared off the coast of Norway in
Yes.
the far northern region back in 2019. But when he was found, the marine biologists had to remove this, and you can see that there was a
What is that?
man-made harness.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was suited for an action camera and the words "Equipment St. Petersburg."
St. Petersburg.
Yeah, which
Like
is
Russia.
St. Petersburg, comma,
Right.
Russia. That was printed in English on the plastic clasps of that harness. So, of course, the whale itself probably not a spy, but that raised questions as to. Was he trained by the Russian military? So Norwegian officials, they kind of concluded unofficially that the Vladimir may have escaped an enclosure and also may have been trained by the Navy because he was also very accustomed to humans.
Yes,
he
yes.
showed signs of having been in captivity. Of course, Moscow never issued any official reaction to a whale being a Russian spy. I would have been surprised if they had. But a sad turn. He was found dead on Saturday in a Norwegian bay, and his body has been transported for an autopsy because animal rights groups said that they found multiple bullet wounds on the body of the whale. So the group also accused this of having been a criminal act. I mean, it would have been if he was shot, it would have been in violation of Whale Protection and Animal Rights Acts. So requested the police to open a criminal investigation into the case.
Ah, what a tragedy, though. Animals suffering because of human beings.
This should never, ever happen.
Right. Next, a popular tourist destination in the Philippines has closed down because of graffiti. And actually, the spot, like, I think some of our waivers were like kind of saying, go to this area, right?
It's a very popular area. My friend was planning on going next month, and she's offered some commentary.
Right.
So speaking of things that you shouldn't do and how humans are kind of bad. So the island of Philippines in Bohol, they're famous for their pristine coral reefs. It's a very popular scuba diving spot, including South Korean tourists.
Yes.
Apparently, it's been like dubbed Bohol / Gyeonggi province because there are so many Koreans there. But someone or someones, they have carved up the coral reefs. I mean, writing, I guess you're underwater, you can't write in ink, but then that would have been egregious enough. But you're literally carving up coral reefs off of the Virgin Islands. So names such as, this is in English, Mojak, M-O-J-A-K, but then Min, M-I-N, and Kim,
Korean.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, which is very Korean.
Oh, yeah,
they have, I see them in.
Yeah.
They have been carved up on the coral, and this is healthy coral, which, we're running out of it. Yeah. So the exact location is not disclosed, but this raised suspicions amongst Korean tourists and people online of, Min and Kim, they read as very Korean.
Right.
And this is an uber popular destination and has been lately. So the local Department of Environment and Natural Resources and the provincial government, they have launched an investigation. They have put up a 50,000 peso reward for any information. And the area has also been shut down for tourist activity following the damage.
Oh, once again, anywhere you go,
someone who does that, you don't
it.
deserve to go.
Yes.
Anyways.
Let's end with a quick Paralympic update.
Yes, let's. So table tennis, this was kind of a very highly anticipated event because once again, sending the largest delegates out of Team Korea. Well, Kim Gi-tae won the gold. Congratulations in men's singles, winning against Taiwan's Chun Bo-yen in a 3-1 set score.
Sure.
So his win actually takes South Korea's medal count to 5 golds. That was the goal to begin with. So we kind of reached that gold earlier than expected.
Yes.
So he thanked his father, who took him, who was diagnosed with a developmental disorder at a young age, to the table tennis courts, and that's been his life ever since. So Kim's last 2 runs in the Paralympics in Rio and Tokyo, they were not very successful. So Kim said going into Paris, going into especially his final, he was very desperate to win. However, so he did not do well in his first set. That's a 3-1 score. But he kind of, after that, he entered this mental state of zen. He basically thought to himself, kind of let go of that desperation.
Right.
This is a learning opportunity. My opponent is clearly a better player than I am. So this is an opportunity for me to learn. And that really propelled him to his Paralympics gold.
My goodness, what a great story. But thank you for covering this story plus all the stories for Waggle Waggle. And we'll check in with you on Monday.
Have a great weekend.
All right. And now it is time for your traffic and weather. It is time for your traffic update. There was an accident right outside the Yunsan Tunnel going towards Hwaedongdong, and it's being cleared. However, it's causing some backup. It's looking slow on Jungwangdaedo from City Hall to Yangjong intersection. Some backup on Yeonsuro from Suyong to Mangmi intersection as well. There's also congestion on Chungjangdaedo from pier number 4 to pier number 3. As for the weather, it's 27 degrees Celsius. It's going to go up to 32. There's a chance of showers in the afternoon into the evening hours. As for tomorrow, well, it's going to be clear with a low of 25, a high of 32. And on Sunday, pretty similar temperature-wise. However, forecasts say that you're going to get some showers throughout the day. This was your traffic and weather. How can we not resist? Bahaman, Who Let the Dogs Out?
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? The party was nice, the party was pumping. Hey, yeah. And everybody having a ball. Until the fellas started name calling. And the girls respond to the call. I hear a woman shout out, who let the dogs out? 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 I see the young people had a ball cause Billy Fountains get out. Get back Gruffy, bash Gruffy, get back you flea infested mongrel. Gotta tell myself I man no get angry. Hey, yeah. 280 cows calling them K9. Hey, but they tell me, hey man, start up the party. You put a woman in front and a man behind. I hear a woman shout out, who let the dogs out? 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 Say, a doggy is nothing if he don't have a bone. Oh doggy, hold your bone. Oh doggy, hold it. A doggy is nothing if he don't have a bone. Oh doggy, hold your bone. Oh doggy, hold it. Who let the dogs out? 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 I see the young people had a ball cause Billy Fountains get out. Get back Gruffy, bash Gruffy, get back you flea infested mongrel. Well, if I am a dog, the party is on. I gotta get my groove on, got my mind, I'm gone. Do you see the rays coming from my eye? Walking through the prison, Digimon is breaking them down. Me and my white talk, short, dealing, gassy color. Any caliber do, I think I knew that's why they call me Pitbull. Cause I'm the man of the land, with it to me to say, who let the dogs out? 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 Who let the dogs out?
So Tommy, in response to that song, he says, who let the dogs out? The bartender, he says. That's your Ajay Gak for Friday morning. All right, so our text topic, it's all about your pet's past, current, or even maybe future, meaning if you don't have a pet, what kind of pet do you want to get? What would you name him or her? And so thank you for all the photos that have been coming in. And by the way, we're trying to get them all up, but if we miss a pet or two, please don't get mad at us. We're trying our best. Our producer is working like furiously because she has to edit the photos as they come in so we can post them with your permission on our Notu channel. So here we go. We're going to be posting a couple more of your family members. Ooh, who knows who this is? This is Haeyeon. Yes, our Haeyeon's Dongi. Look at Dongi. And she's named Dongi because she is, meaning Dongi from like the east, right? The sun rises from the east, and she's a little poodle doodle. So cute, right? Some of you might have seen her in the studio. She was smuggled in a couple times, right? So that is Dongi. And for our next photo, who do we have? Let's see. I believe we're going to be seeing a bunch of well-known PD님. These are mine. Okay. So here we go. So left corner, upper, that's Callie. And then we have right next to her, odd-eyed Diego. And in your left corner, that is Po Tai Long, the Po Tai Long Bang, the one who always does mischief. And then we have Olaf, who looks just like JB's cat, right? Twinning, but ours is fatter. And then look at Jackson, my pride and joy Jackson, who is the king of all the cats. Those are my little fur babies. And then, those are additional It goes on and on. We have so many. Oh, is that photo on the right? That's not ours. 우리 거 아닌데요? Is that Jake? Oh, PD님, I think that's Leslie's. Oh, our producer. She put Jake and Poe and Olaf. Oh, there we go, Jake for Jacob Black. So there we go. Those are Leslie's. That's Leslie's fur baby. Yes, Jake. And I believe we have a couple more. Oh, this is Tommy's. He names them Jack and Friends. I'm assuming the big one, is that Jack? Yes? Yes, Jack is the big fish, you can tell. That is Jack, I think. Jack and Friends. Oh, and who is this? This is, I believe, 백건우's, he calls it 시골을 잡으종? 시골을 잡으종. 아, 시골 잡종. It sounded so French. Yes. 호두, walnut. What a beautiful, beautiful smile. Yes, he's smiling at me. And then, we have 지혜 wavers. 모란 앵무새 parrots. And their names are 청록 and 보라. Look at their beautiful colors. I wonder which one is 보라. The one that looks purple? Yes. I was kidding, PD님. She's like pointing at the photos like I'm not an idiot. I know that much. Yes, those are some beautiful, beautiful ones. And who's this? Are these Janice's fur babies? No. 까꿍이. 까꿍이. And who's our 까꿍이s? Janice. I thought it's Leon. So Janice, the one on the right, that's a Pomeranian, so they call her Leon. Oh, so pretty. And then Tommy wants everybody to know Jack's full name is Jack Sparrow for his fish. So, thank you so much for sending in your fur babies. I know they are a part of your precious family. And so that is why we are posting. Your pets are debuting on our YouTube channel today. You can spread the news all over. People watch this channel from all over the world. So there you go. All right, we got to get to our special interview. I'll be back in just a moment. For today's special interview, we're going to talk about athletes. 운동선수 하면 there's kind of an image that we get, don't we? Sometimes we see them as physically gifted, but not necessarily so smart. However, this stereotype is increasingly being challenged as research reveals that elite athletes often possess exceptional mental abilities. From quick decision-making to advanced memory skills, elite athletes demonstrate that cognitive strength is key to their success. So we're going to take a look at how mental skills contribute to athletic excellence and why certain countries excel in specific sports categories. So we have on air with us Dr. Alberto Figueiras Goncalves. He's a senior lecturer in psychology at CQ University in Australia. Hi, thanks for joining us.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So first of all, I want to talk about this stereotype that we have kind of had for many years, this whole kind of like dumb jock, dumb athlete kind of stereotype. Why do you think it still persists despite evidence to the contrary?
Well, there is one thing. There is only so much a human being can have, right? Yes. Otherwise, we are going to be envy, right? So the stereotype kind of persists because of science doesn't get to the big public generally fast enough for people to process and to understand. And of course, there is the other side of the story, which is athletes, they tend to have quite an intense personal life, right? Which means that sometimes they make decisions in their lives that doesn't seem smart to us. And then we kind of create these stereotypes. But the fact is they are indeed cognitively better or have higher levels of cognitive prowess than most of us. These are the scientific facts.
Yes. So in what ways do elite athletes, some that are quite famous, let's say even last night, I'm sure people watched them, Son Heung-min, Shohei Ohtani, Lionel Messi, Steph Curry, all the big names, how do they demonstrate cognitive abilities that go beyond just physical talent?
This is really interesting because we tend to think that their physical talent are the ones that are making difference in sports, right?
Yes.
But what evidence suggests is that it's quite the opposite. Anyone can have the same athletic abilities of those athletes. These are the facts. If you train hard enough, if you make a good diet, you can become an athlete yourself. Everyone can become an athlete. However, they have these predisposition to decision making and to have better memory, better short-term memory, or better ability to plan and to execute, stick goals. Everything is better in elite athletes. Even in those athletes where the athletic prowess is not that higher than other athletes, they still surpass their peers because of their cognitive abilities.
Yes, yes. And I hear that the research that you've done, it suggests that athletes often outperform non-athletes in areas like attention and decision making. So can you tell us more about this?
Yes, what our research shows is that most elite athletes, they do have better cognitive outputs than other non-athletes, and other athletes that are in lower levels. For instance, if a player plays on the 4th division, they have less cognitive skills than a player who plays for the 1st division.
I see.
Even among athletes, you can see differences in cognitive skills.
Very interesting. And why do some countries, I think this is a question that we have, especially here in Korea, where we excel at certain sporting events and whatnot. Why do some countries do so well in specific sports? For example, South Korea is world renowned for things like archery, shooting, like precision sports, as I would call it. Do culture and practice and stuff like that, can this help athletes succeed in these particular sports?
Well, then it comes down to, it's more of an evolution, I would say, problem. In which sense? It's kind of, you have a whole culture who likes certain types of sports. That happens everywhere in the world. It's really rare to see a country that is that likes and enjoys playing every single sport. No, you have a few sports that are particularly liked among people in certain countries. And then what happens is you have a large amount of kids practicing those sports, and then it's a matter of natural or artificial selection, right? Because you have tens of thousands of kids doing the same sports, you're going to pick the best. And those best are going to be also world level best. So that's the point. It's all about the amount of kids practicing the sport. So this is why the US, for instance, or China, why they excel in the Olympics, because they have programs specific to make kids to practice different sports and then detecting talents early on so they can develop these talents to become world level athletes. That's the main difference. And most countries, we don't do that. These are the facts.
Right. That's a great point because in California where I grew up, we had access to a wide variety of sports. Whereas, for example, in Korea, at an average elementary school, the most common sport might be like soccer, like football, or it's very specific. So I think I agree with you on that point. Yes. So how does practicing sports help every day, basically help athletes become better at things like decision making, but not just like within that sport while they're performing that sport, but just in life in general?
Yeah, now we need to bring the concept of transferability. Our skills can be transferred from one context to the other if we practice enough. For instance, if you learn different languages, there is a tendency of you becoming better and better in learning different languages as you progress. For instance, your second language is going to be hard. Your third language is going to be easier than the second. Your fourth language is going to be easier than the third and the second. And then you kind of progress on that. And that happens with every human skills. In sports, because they need to make decisions every single day in every practice, and basically sports is making decisions as you go, the tendency is that you become better in decision making in one specific sport, and then you can transfer those skills, those decision making skills, to your personal lives. That's how it works, and apparently, this is why you have a lot of former athletes were elite athletes, and then they become entrepreneurs, business people with enough success that you can say, wow, they excelled both in sports and in business. This is why it happens.
I see. Well, are there intellectual differences between athletes in different sports categories?
This is a good question. And actually, we still don't know because this type of research is quite new in terms of for science. The first research in this topic area came around 12 years ago, which means that it's still something really recent.
Yes.
And we're still pursuing these type of questions, But what we know so far is that apparently just being an elite athlete makes you better in cognitive skills overall. Okay. And there's not much difference within the same sports. So, for instance, you mentioned soccer earlier.
Yes.
So, for instance, you have the striker and you have the defender.
Sure.
Okay. They do have different roles in the field, but they don't have different cognitive skills. They have similar cognitive skills, because they play a sport that is quite chaotic and unpredictable. Therefore, regardless of where you are in the field, where you're positioning in the field, then probably you require the same skills, the same level of cognitive skills. So far, we know that within the same sport, there are no differences between positions. However, we don't know about different sports. I hypothesize that they might, but again, we still need funding to do this type of research. And this is not something that most funders are interested in.
I'm interested in it, but I get it. So for a final wrap-up question, how can young athletes use what you have found in your research to improve not just their game, but just their lives, generally speaking?
The first point is we need to understand that practice or deliberate practice requires decision making. So if you start practicing any sport, the idea is to have situations or to create situations where you need to make decisions. So this is really important to then you can transfer these skills to your personal lives. And of course, once you are in your personal life, try to remember what were the resources, the cognitive resources you utilized while you were practicing your sport.
Right.
So you can make the same step-by-step procedure in your personal lives. That's probably the best advice.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for enlightening us. And I hope that we can kind of break that stereotype that athletes are dumb, or that whole dumb jock kind of stereotype. Thanks for joining us today. We do appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right, this was our special interview with Dr. Alberto Goncalves, and we talked about breaking down this stereotype, and I'm glad that he did so, because in my mind, I think especially elite athletes and athletes in general, it's not just the physical. They put a lot of thought into their training, into practice, and sometimes they sacrifice so much to do so. I think that makes them smart in my book. This was our special interview. Here's our next song. This is High Hopes by Panic at the Disco.
said, don't give up. It's a little complicated. All tied up, no more love, and I'd hate to see you waiting. Had to have high hopes for a living, shooting for the stars, but I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes. Mama said, something for oddities, stranger kisses. They never wanna be the winning, the novelties that don't ever change. We wanted everything, wanted everything. Stay up on that rise, stay up on that rise, never come down. Oh, stay up on that rise, stay up on that rise, never come down. Mama said, don't give up. It's a little complicated, all tied up, no more love, and I'd hate to see you waiting. They say it's all been done, but they haven't seen the best of me. So I got one more run, and it's gonna be a sight to see. Had to have high hopes for a living, shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living, shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It is time for FFT, Fun Facts and Trivia. We have Joffrey in the studio. How are you?
Good morning, Catherine.
Yes. So we've been talking about pets. Do you have any pets, past, present, maybe in the future?
Pets. I really want to have pets, especially during the COVID-19.
Yes.
I've heard so much about having a pet helping us to help us with our mental health, but I couldn't. I couldn't even take care of myself. How can I take care of a pet?
But actually, that's responsible. I
Yeah,
like that because
you're
some
right.
people, they don't think too, like, they don't think deeply enough, and then they get a pet because like, oh, it's so cute, and then like they are overwhelmed sometimes.
It's also difficult to find someone who take care when you leave, when you go to Seoul, when you go
That's
overseas.
true.
So
Yes.
I can't.
But I think, once again, that's really responsible of you, though. Right. All right. Well, let's dive into our segment today. What do you have?
But actually, we're going to be talking about some interesting facts or culture in some countries that we identified.
Yes.
Some, and then later about fun facts. But I was listening to your segment earlier today about
Yes.
the athletes and in sports. I have one trivia for that.
Oh.
Did you know that there are more than 8,000 sports?
8,000 sports?
Around the world. But in Olympics 2021, we only have 33 categories of sports.
Right.
So
8,000. Well, that's pretty amazing. That is a fun piece of trivia. Yes.
Yeah. So as I've said, we're going to be going around the world today. Let's start with Egypt.
Egypt.
In Egypt, it's rude to ask for salt when you are eating something. Yeah. Why? Because if you ever find yourself having a meal in Egypt, do not ask for salt or pepper, because doing so is considered rude towards the chef.
Guess what? It's rude in my house too.
Oh, really?
If my family asks for salt and pepper, they get the eyebrow.
All right.
What are you trying to say? My cooking is too bland? Yes.
But in Korea, it's true that you have to make sound. Like the louder, the better.
Supposedly, but I think that culture is also changing a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, for I guess like the mukbangs, and then like if you're, depending on who with whom you're eating with, and also like the dish. If it's like kalguksu or something that's kind of a casual kind of meal, yeah, I see people slurping their noodles and stuff. But then like if you're at like a fine dining, maybe not so much, right?
Yeah, but if you are in an ajumma or halmoni chip, it's just like showing appreciation to the one
that's
who
true.
prepared.
Saying like, oh, 맛있다. Right. I agree.
All right, let's move to Greece. Greece. Greeting in Greece with a palm open is considered an insult. It's same as one finger in the US and two fingers in the UK.
One finger in the U.S. What's the two fingers in the? Oh, well, don't show us. I know the one finger, the middle finger, the bird.
Yeah, that. It's a similar in Greece. So when you greet someone in Greece, don't open your. Don't do like this. Just make sure that you're closing your hands. All your fingers are closed.
Hello.
Right.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Hello.
Yeah. Speaking of that, in Bulgaria, nodding means no.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard about it?
This one I've heard.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was I knew in certain countries, right? It means the opposite. Like
it's the opposite.
Yes
so
and
the
no.
yes is just like on the side.
The side?
Yeah.
Oh, that's confusing.
Let's have a last one for this one.
Okay, I like this one.
Don't give a Chinese person a watch as a gift.
Because
the Mandarin word for clock has the same pronunciation as the Cantonese word or expression that people use when paying respects to someone at a funeral.
I see.
So giving someone a watch as a gift can be taken as you were waiting for the time of that person to die. You're right.
Not good. And in Korea, I was thinking of something similar, like gift giving. I don't know if they still do it. They say like don't give a person shoes or something. 신발 선물하는 거 아니라고 저 들었는데요. Like if you do, you have to like between like a romantic partner. It means like they're gonna run away and no shoes.
I've heard about that.
Right. So if you're gonna give somebody shoes, somebody told me like pay or get money for it, or like put a dollar bill or something.
A coin.
Yeah, or something. Something of value so that, and it is superstition, but yes.
So that's something about Korea.
But it's a cultural thing also. It's a Korean cultural superstition, yes. All right.
Let me ask you this one. What was your longest flight ever?
I'm trying to think.
How many hours? Non-stop?
I haven't gone on super long flights, though. Probably I've done several between the U.S. and Korea. So that's like what, a maximum like 13.
13.
Isn't it? I don't know what it is
hours.
these days.
Well, the longest non-stop scheduled airline flight is 15,344 between Singapore Changi Airport and Newark Liberty Airport. And this took 19 hours.
Non-stop. 19.
Non-stop.
Ooh.
Can
That's
you
long.
be in that plane for 19 hours?
You know what? I would be okay if I can't drink, but I mean like if I was like really tired and I would just like probably sleep through the whole flight.
Probably
maybe.
Business class or...
Oh yeah, that would be okay.
Or maybe first class. That would be fine.
If my legs are stretched out and it's not that,
This is something very interesting.
Yes.
Didn't you know that in Iceland, they don't have mosquitoes at all?
Really?
Yeah,
No
that's
mogi
why.
in
No
Iceland.
mogi.
Not even one?
Is it because of the weather? Because
I don't
here
know,
in
must be.
Korea, every summer we start to have what? And then now we don't have mosquitoes. I don't have mosquitoes at home now.
I don't either, but then it's kind of like they were seasonal, but I feel like they're just around longer because of like climate change and stuff like that, right?
Right.
Yes.
And there are some, let's go to some countries with their national anthem.
Ooh.
Spain, Bosnia, San Marino, and Kosovo. They don't have any lyrics to their national anthem.
Oh, so just
the melody.
Just the music, the melody.
The music,
no lyrics. 가사가 없어요. Interesting.
Interesting. Okay, so what year are we in now? 2024, right?
Yes.
But do you know what year is it now in Nepal?
Okay. Put me on the spot. No, I don't.
2081.
2081.
Yeah, there are several countries who don't follow the Gregorian calendar.
Yes.
And Nepal, they are 56 years and 8 months ahead of us. So their year in the calendar is 2081.
2081. How do you do the math?
Yeah,
Yes.
and also our neighbor, our brother, the North Korea. Do you know how they count their year?
How?
North Korean calendar counts the year after its founder Kim Il Sung's birthday in 1912. So it's he was living until 2019. So over there it's still 107. So now that's 19 plus 5. The 107 plus 5 is 112 currently.
If you say yes. Okay.
That's the year.
That's my math.
Yeah. Also in Afghanistan, it's 1446. In Iran, 1446. In Ethiopia, 2016.
Oh my goodness. That's kind of confusing.
Very confusing.
But there's no rule that says you have to follow, like this calendar. I mean, I would think that for certain things, like official documents.
Cultural.
Yes.
But because we are connected to each other now.
Yes.
For example, if you're from Nepal and you're applying for admission in Korea, I
Yes.
think you have to follow the calendar.
International Gregorian accepted calendar.
Yes.
Yes. All right. What else do you have for us?
Oh, we have also more on North Korea.
Okay.
Didn't you know that there are only 15 approved haircuts? For those who don't know.
I've seen this on the internet, so it's true.
It is true, yeah.
They like it very, very clean cut,
Clean
military
cut.
style.
Yeah.
like short.
Similar to their leader.
Yes. That
Yeah.
okay.
And the most visited place in Europe is Disneyland Paris.
Really?
Yes.
And then it's kind of like fascinating because that D-land it's not French. It's
not.
American.
It's American.
So it's kind of the irony behind that.
But the most visited city too is Paris.
That's true.
Right.
Yes. And what else?
Our weekend here, of course, is Saturday and Sunday.
Yes.
But in Iran, their weekend is Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday.
yes.
So they work on Saturday and Sunday?
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, they work on Saturday and
Sunday.
Sunday.
Because you said Thursday, Friday are their weekend.
The official weekend are Fridays, similar to Sundays in the rest of the world. And many businesses close on Thursday. In relation to Saturdays for other cultures.
Okay.
So if you have to do business with someone in Iran, it might be a good idea or a good fact to consider for when you are scheduling communications. Yeah, so that's very important.
That's good to know. Important to know.
So
yes.
we talk about time. And in Venezuela, it's normal to be late.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you heard about the South America culture about time, their concept of time, their sense of time? I've heard that if for example, if the event is 6 p.m., if you arrive before that, it's like, why are you so in a hurry?
Oh, it's a little rude.
Yeah.
It's like weird.
Maybe not rude, but why?
Why? What's the hurry?
What's the hurry? Especially if it's some kind of a occasion.
Sure.
That, a birthday, probably like that. Or maybe it could be interpreted as, are you hungry? Are you that hungry?
Like, why are you so eager? Why are you here so early?
Yeah,
Okay.
but of course, in Korea, we have to arrive early. If we set our occasion like 6, I come maybe 10 minutes before. But I see some Koreans too, they come a little bit 10 minutes or 5 minutes late. Yeah.
But I think it's gotten better because back in the day, we used to call it like Korea time, where people were like kind of late a lot, frequently. But nowadays, not so much so. Like anytime
It has changed, right?
Right, it has changed.
Yeah, I really want to know also what made Koreans change that concept, their sense of time.
I don't know, but everybody's very punctual these days.
Yeah, so that's why it's now associated with Koreans. But if you look at the past, Koreans actually are lazy too, though during those times.
Yeah, getting to that appointment, not lazy as a people. Yes.
So culturally, probably late, but in business or in appointments, I think it's very important to keep the time.
Sure.
Yeah, we
have time for one more. Maybe?
One more. All right.
Yes.
So, what do you use when you want to point at something?
Oh, when I want to point,
Yeah.
I try not to use my finger because I know that it can be rude. So I usually use my hand.
Your hand.
My
that
hand
kind of gesture.
Yes.
Yeah, gesture. In Fiji,
Yes,
they
Fiji.
use their they raise their eyebrows.
Their eyebrows.
Yeah. But the worst thing is in my country, in the Philippines, we
yes.
use our lips too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what does that
for
mean?
example, if we are in
Okay.
Starbucks, for
Okay.
example, and then there are cakes there, what do you want?
With your mouth?
With our lips. With our
Lips,
mouth.
like-
Yeah.
But what if there's like 4? How do you know?
Of course, that's exaggeration.
Ah,
we can
okay,
use
okay.
our,
Our
but we
hand?
do
Like-
use a
like this?
lot our lips.
Oh, really?
Like Italians, they use their hands a lot.
Lots of hands,
Yeah.
when they're speaking. Yeah. Oh, I think this is fascinating, and that's why we do appreciate you coming in for these past several weeks for fun facts and trivia. And so this might be goodbye for now, but hopefully we'll see you real soon. So thank you so much, Joffrey. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much too for having me.
Absolutely.
It has been great weeks with you.
Really, really?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Early morning, yeah.
But it was fun, right?
It was fun.
All right. Well, we're going to say bye to Joffrey. We're going to say bye to you for today, the entire week. We're going to end it with this one, End the Road by Boyz II Men. Bye, everybody.